Hey all, I'm Jacqueline Stats, and here to share with you that if you are truly concerned that the world is being run by Satanists, that the best way to combat that would not be by combat, but through strengthening your connection to God. I love the old books, and I love them because that is where people cannot translate the information for me. It's why I don't trust modern day gurus, because they read the old books and then they write 20 books from that old book. And that's the truth. But they can only understand that book from their point of view. They can only understand that book through their life experiences, through their wisdom, through what they have received in their life. And that's the way the good old books were written. That's why every religious text is actually allegorical. It's a fairy tale, it's a story. The only way to explain some of these bigger concepts is by an example, not it defies a regular conventional explanation. And if some of these stories are written right, then that explanation, that is going to change. For a lot of the books behind me is if I read them now as opposed to when I read them 10 years ago, they tell a different story because my experiences have changed, because my understanding has broadened. These books are meant to live and transform with you. If you have a book that is specific to your theology, they say that's the only book you ever need, because if you read it over and over again, it will tell you more and more things. I like the path of the mystic. Mystics went from place to place to place, studying with different wisdom traditions. And what they did was they sought to have a greater understanding. If you went to Jewish Kabbalah, for example, and you sought understanding from that perspective, let's say they're all describing an octagon, then the Kabbalists can only describe the octagon from their understanding. From their side of the octagon, they're explaining what the octagon is. And if you go to Vedic wisdom, to ancient India, they're explaining the same thing, but from their perspective, from their point of view. So a mystic traveled between all the wisdom traditions to gain this greater understanding and blended together. They were not so concerned with locking themselves into a certain theology, but rather to gain a broader, more vast understanding of similar concepts. So with that, I would like to challenge the thinking that if we are being run by global Satanists, that we need to be afraid. We do not. We do not. Keep your spiritual house strong. Be morally strong. And in reading one of my old books, it fell open to a passage that I read a couple weeks ago. And I thought it was beautiful. And the fact that it had fallen open to this passage at this place in time had told me that perhaps this passage is asking to be shared with all of you. So I'm going to read it to you. It's a little lengthy. And it is called the Kether Malkuth. If you're Jewish, you might have heard this poem at Yom Kippur. It translates to the crown and the kingdom. So Kether means the crown, and that is the highest point in the tree of life. It is representative of our closest experience with God's divinity. And the Malkuth is the lowest point in the tree of life. It means the kingdom. This is represented of our foundation of the physical realm. So thus this poem is meant to blend spirit and physical, and it falls in with the teaching that mystics follow, and that is, as above, so below, as within, so without, the microcosm, the macrocosm. With no further ado, let's get into the poem. It is a beautiful reflection on what God is describing God as a concept For some reason, I've been working to not read my reading glasses that I acquired when I turned 50, but I'm doing quite well, and I don't need them outside in sunlight, but I do need them inside. So this is the Kether and Malkuth, written by Rabbi Solomon, the son of Gabirol, in the 11th century. Thou art one, the beginning of all numbers and the foundation of all buildings. Thou art one. In thy secret of thy unity, the most wise of men are lost, because they know it not. Thou art one, and thy unity neither wanes nor waxes, neither suffers any change. Thou art one, and yet not the one of the mathematician, for thy unity admits neither multiplication nor change nor form. Thou art one, and not one of mine imaginations can fix a limit for thee, or give it a definition of thee. Therefore, I will take heed to my ways, lest I offend with my tongue. Thou art one indeed, whose excellence is so lofty that it may in no wise fall, by no means like that one which may cease to be. Thou art the existing one. Nevertheless, the understanding and the sight of mortals cannot attain thy existence, nor place thee in the where, the how, the why. Thou art the existing one, but in thyself, since no other can exist besides thee. Thou art the existing one before time, before space. Thou art indeed the existing one, and thine existence is so hidden and so deep that none can discover it or penetrate its secret. Thou art the living one, but not in fixed and known time. Thou art the living one, but not by spirit or by soul, for thou art the soul of all souls. Thou art the living one, but not living with the life of mortals, that is like a breath, and whose end is to give food to worms. Thou art the living one, and that he can attain thy mysteries will enjoy eternal delight and live forever. Thou art great. Before any greatness, all other greatness bows, and all that is most excellent becomes imperfect. Thou art great above all imagination, and thou art exalted above all hierarchies of heaven. Thou art great above all greatness, and thou art exalted above all praise. Thou art strong, and not one among thy creatures can do the works thou dost, nor can his force be compared with thine. Thou art strong, and it is to thee that belongs that strength invincible, which changes not and decays never. Thou art strong, and by thy loving kindness thou dost forgive in the moment of thy most burning wrath, and thou showest thyself long-suffering to sinners. Thou art strong, and thy mercies existing from all time are upon thy creatures. Thou art the eternal light, that pure soul shall see, and that the cloud of sins will hide from the eyes of sinners. Thou art the light which is hidden in this world and visible in the other, where the glory of the Lord is shown forth. Thou art sovereign, and the eyes of understanding which desire to see thee are all amazed, for they contain but part of it, never the whole. Thou art the God of gods, and thy creatures bear witness to it, and in honor of this great name that owe thee their worship. Thou art God, and all created beings are thy servants and thy worshippers. Thy glory is not tarnished, although men will worship other gods because their intention is to address themselves to thee. They are like blind men who wish to follow the road, but stray. One falls into a well, the other into a ditch. All think they are come to their desire, yet they have wearied themselves in vain. But thy servants are like men of clear sight traveling upon the high road. Never do they stray from it, either to the right hand or the left, until they are entered into the court of the king's palace. Thou art God, who by thy Godhead sustainest all beings, and by thy unity dost bring home all creatures. Thou art God, and there is no difference between thy deity, thy unity, thy eternity, and thy existence. For all is one and the same mystery, although the names vary, all returns to the same truth. Thou art the knower, And that intelligence, which is the source of all life, emanates from thyself. And besides thy knowledge, all the wisest men are fools. Thou art the knower, and thou hast learned thy knowledge from none, nor hast acquired it but from thyself. Thou art the knower, and like a workman and an architect, thou hast taken from thy knowledge a divine will at an appointed time to draw being from nothing, so that the light which falls from the eyes is drawn from the own center without any instrument or tool. This divine will has hollowed, designed, purified, and molded. It has ordered nothingness to open itself, being to shut up, and the world to spread itself. It has spanned the heavens and assembled with its power the tabernacle of all the spheres. With the cords of its might, it has bound the curtains of the creatures of the universe, and touching with its strength the edge of the curtain of creation, has joined that which is above to that which is below. Wishing you all a happy and healthy day. Namaste.